And if the Senate passes this bill, conservative estimates say that up to 24 million people, 30 million people are going to lose health insurance that they gained through the ACA, through Obamacare. That's a bad day for our country. So on a day like this, I understand if you feel pessimistic. It's probably the same way you felt on the morning of November 9th.
That was worse.
That was pretty damn bad. And it may be as bad as you felt on January 20th, Inauguration Day. It was definitely a day of pessimism. You know, I know some of you were there, so you may have heard me say this before. On January 20th, Westfield 2020 in the House, represent? Held an uninauguration day at the great dame of the Democratic Party here in Westfield, Caroline Klinger-Keter's house. And some of you may have heard me speak that day about a book called Hope in the Dark, a book by a professor by the name of Rebecca Solding. And in her book, she talks about pessimism and optimism. And she says this, she says, "I am not an optimist. Optimism believes that everything will be fine no matter what we do, and therefore we don't have to do a damn thing." And pessimism is the mirror image of that, she says. Pessimists believe that everything's going to hell in a handbasket, and it gets us off the hook. We don't have to do anything. And then she says, don't be an optimist, don't be a pessimist, but believe in the power of hope. Believe in the ability to change the future. Because only if you have hope can you believe that a better future exists. And if you believe a better future exists, then you have the ability to act to make that future a reality. It's exactly what Westfield 2020 has been doing since this election, and they deserve so much credit for that. But I can think of no better person to act for a better future than my dear friend Shelley Brindle. I can think of nobody who better embodies the ideals of acting for a better future than Shelley. And it's not because of her life story, and you may hear it in a moment or two, the difficulties that she grew up in and what she overcame to get where she is today. It's not because of her amazing professional career in the corporate world, where she rose to the top of the corporate ladder, to the pinnacle of one of America's great corporations. It's because she knows what to do. It's something more that she has. She knows that it takes hard work, that it takes perseverance, that it takes the will and the courage to keep striving for more, for a better future. And that's why she's standing here today as our candidate for mayor of the town of Westfield. Shelley knows that this town doesn't just happen by accident, that you have to work hard if you want to be a town that succeeds. You can't just rest on your laurels. As I always say, there are some in this town who believe that on the 8th day God created Westfield and then he rested. It doesn't work like that, and Shelley knows better than that. There are some in this town, Shelley's opponent, for example, who say, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. You see those empty storefronts? That's just an economic cycle. It'll be fine. You see those town services that you don't get? You see those potholes? Nothing to see here. Everything will be just fine. You see that small group of insiders who are staffed on every board, on every volunteer position in the town of Westfield? Nothing to see here. We got this. We're the old boys. Shelley knows better than that. And she knows one thing for sure: if you want a great town, you have to work at it. It doesn't happen by accident. If you want your downtown to thrive, you have to be proactive rather than reactive or try to pass the blame onto somebody else or something else. If you want to lead this town, you have to actually lead proactively and not just throw your name back in the ring because another election cycle came around again and it was your turn to run again. You have to work at it. Shelley Brindle is going to work at it. She's going to work hard. She believes. She is not either an optimist or a pessimist, and certainly not a pessimist. She believes that this town has a better future, and what she's done in her own life and in her professional life proves that she can move this town to a better future. So I mentioned hope before. I have one hope that I would ask for you, and that is this. I hope you will support me in joining Shelley to become the next mayor of the town of Westfield, that you will work as hard as you can to get her elected, that you will do everything possible to help elect her and the great Democratic slate that we have this year, a full slate like we haven't had in years. That's my hope for all of you tonight, and I know you'll join me on that. So,